On the news tonight, House of Representatives calls for overhaul of infrastructure at Federal University of Petroleum Resources, EFRUN. State Ministry of Justice reaffirms commitment to digital justice reforms. Ethiopia Federal Constituency Political Forum declares support for President Bola Tinubu and Governor Sheriff Oborewori. Abroad, Democratic Republic of Congo M23 rebel group signs agreement for peace deal. Good evening and welcome to the Delta Television main news. I am Mora Isopa. You can also follow our news online on Facebook at Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba and on YouTube at Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba, or visit our website. The House of Representatives Committee on University Education has called for an overhaul, saying the country cannot afford to neglect a specialized institution central to manpower development in the oil and gas sector. Chairman of the committee, Honorable Abubakar Fulata, Resources EFRUN, continued to struggle with outdated facilities and insufficient funding despite its strategic mandates, and urged government and industry players to invest more in specialized universities. The State Ministry of Justice has reaffirmed its commitment to digital justice reforms as part of efforts to ensure faster and more efficient justice delivery in the state. The Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Mr. Ekemejiro Okovoriole, SAN, stated this in Asaba during a one-day capacity building workshop on the digitalization of the ministry, organized for law officers across the state. Antonia Mowa reports.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Declaring the training open, Mr. Kemejiro Hovoriole said the goal of the initiative was to equip law officers with globally competitive digital skills to meet the demands of a rapidly advancing world. He explained that the ministry's ongoing digital reforms will simplify workflow processes, enhance access to justice, and significantly improve efficiency in legal service delivery.
We went for a demonstration of their AI, that's LexisNexis, and I saw what they had. And I've been using Law Pavilion for over 10 years. And truly, and I'm not flattering you, theirs was a better product. Seriously. And that's internationally I'm saying. Then when we got to Toronto, just last week here, so you could see all the brands there. And the only one I could recognize from Africa was Law Pavilion. So it was flying now internationally, and it was standard.
In his remarks, the Solicitor General and Permanent Secretary, Mr. Mamuzo Erebe SAN, stressed that technology has become indispensable to modern legal practice. Mr. Erebe said all legal practitioners must be conversant with digital tools in the 21st century, adding that the Attorney General's Chamber, being the largest law chamber in the state, must be equipped with the cutting-edge technology to drive reforms. He noted that the ministry has already begun taking steps towards the transformation.
Today's training has been eye-opening. It has exposed a lot of us to what we as a state should be doing. The Honorable Attorney General's Chambers is the biggest chambers in the state, and so we should have cutting-edge technology at our fingertips, and that is what has been, we've started that process today.
Delivering his lecture, the General Manager of Law Pavilion, Mr. Okpe Olugasa, outlined the key components of the digitization projects, including a comprehensive case management system with dashboards for the Attorney General, Solicitor General, directors, zonal heads, unit heads, and state councils. He said the system will enable real-time performance tracking, accountability, and improved oversight of legal workflow across departments.
Extremely impressed into interacting with the leadership of the Delta State Ministry of Justice, the State Council, the directors from the zones, and the departmental representatives. I want to say that this tells me that there's a major, let's say, a major shift in service delivery.
Mr. Olugasa expressed confidence in the ministry's direction and commended its resolve to embrace digital transformation. Antonia Mowa reporting.
The Ethiopia Federal Constituency Political Forum has declared its support for President Bola Tinubu and Governor Sheriff Oborevwori. The declaration came at the forum's enlarged stakeholders meeting held at the country home of APC leader Chief Bernard Edewa in Eku, Ethiopia East local government area. The forum praised the achievements of President Bola Tinubu and Governor Sheriff Oborevwori, expressing confidence that both leaders would continue to uphold the development and welfare of the people. The national chairman of the forum, Senator Igoyota Amori, underscored the need for unity and strategic political alignment to ensure that the people of the constituency and the state benefited evenly from ongoing developmental programs. Senator Amori directed party leaders in Ethiopia East and Ethiopia West to nominate representatives for the expanded national executive positions in line with the widened APC structure in the state. Earlier, the forum's national secretary, Chief Sunday Onorode, called for sustained cohesion and grassroots sensitization, noting that Governor Oborevwori's performance has boosted public confidence in the administration. Speaking with newsmen after the meeting, the forum's national publicity secretary, Dr. Fred Ogenesiwe, said the forum was now bigger, stronger, and more united, following the full integration of the former PDP structure into the APC. The state government has dismissed claims that the Delta State Oil Producing Areas Development Commission, the SOPADEC, was being underfunded under the administration of Governor Sheriff Oborevwori. The Director General of the Bureau for Orientation and Communications, Dr. Fred Ogenesiwe, stated this while reacting to comments made by social media commentator Chief Zik Bemri. He described Mr. Bemri's allegations as unfounded and misleading, insisting that the SOPADEC has continued to receive adequate funding and been professionally managed under the present administration. Dr. Ogenesiwe explained that the recently announced payment of 8.4 billion naira by the state government was used to clear debts owed to the SOPADEC contractors and inherited from previous administrations, effectively resolving a long-standing liability. He commended Governor Oborevwori for what he called a proactive and responsible intervention, noting that the governor's transformational leadership is positively impacting the state's economy. According to him, the More agenda remained focused on removing bottlenecks and strengthening good governance across all sectors. Dr. Ogenesiwe advised Chief Bemri to ensure factual and well-presented criticism in the future, cautioning that spreading false or misleading information could amount to defamation, cyber-stalking, or character assassination, and punishable under the law. As the world grapples with rising uncertainty and social tension, there has been a renewed call for Nigerians to embrace positive mindsets as a pathway to individual stability and national progress. The call was made as the Society for Positive Living, SPL, a non-government, non-profit organization, marked 2 decades of advocacy with focus on reorientation, reframing, and an attitude of gratitude. The report. Chairman of the Positivity Conference, Dr. David Agbovo, commended the organization for its tireless efforts in the past 2 decades at promoting empathy, kindness, compassion, and resilience among humanity. Founder and president of the SPL, Dr. Simeon Onakugoto, in his address, recalled that the group started in 2005 as a simple idea to help people manage stress and emotional challenges, expanding into seminars, media broadcasts, and nationwide outreach programs. He added that the recent establishment of a medical and wellness clinic as an arm of the body represented a major step in connecting emotional healing with physical wellness for the individual and, by extension, the society and humanity. Speaking later on staying positive in a turbulent world, Dr. Onakugoto encouraged all to always apply the praise technique, positive self-talk, reframing, acceptance, identity, smiling, and enthusiasm to overcome negative thoughts and circumstances.
The Society for Positive Living began as an humble idea, an inner urge, a strong personal conviction to help humanity by promoting positivity and emotional well-being in a world overwhelmed by stress, anger, and hopelessness.
Dr. Blessing Ononugbo, who spoke on the topic gratitude, highlighted the role of thankfulness in improving mental and physical health, strengthening relationships, and enhancing overall well-being. The event, which drew participants from all walks of life, including challenged persons, featured the presentation of awards to individuals who had made outstanding contributions to the legacy of the SPL and the well-being of humanity, including the Director News, DBS Asaba, Mrs. Mercy Moemifo, who originated the phrase, "Staying positive in a turbulent world," which is the motto of the organization. A posthumous award went to the late Mrs. Bethel Onakugoto, Mr. Samuel Onakugoto, and Mrs. Udwak Onakugoto, parents and wife of Dr. Onakugoto, while several distinguished members received fellowship awards. Participants described the event as insightful and impactful, pledging to continue to uphold positivity in all aspects of life as a way of navigating the ups and downs of life's unpredictable journey, while lending helping hands to others along the way.
It has been an amazing journey, amazing place, and amazing people.
Today's event is an event that can never be forgotten.
Mora Isopa reporting. The federal government has inaugurated a project development committee for the proposed Niger Delta ferry service, a public-private partnership designed to improve transportation and boost economic activities across riverine communities. Speaking at the event in Abuja, the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Regional Development, Dr. Mary Ogbe, said the initiative, first approved in 2022, aimed to enhance accessibility, reduce travel time, and promote inclusive growth in line with the Renewed Hope agenda. A representative of the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission, Mr. Ezeja Jidebere, explained that the new committee merges previous steering and delivery teams to reduce bureaucracy and speed up project execution. He noted that the directive to fast-track PPP projects came from the President and would help deliver infrastructure within shorter timelines while maintaining transparency and value for money. The federal government says it is intensifying efforts to stabilize the national electricity grid and reduce persistent power outages across the country. The Minister of Power, Chief Adebayo Adelabu, represented by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Power, Mr. Mohamadu Maman, stated this at the maiden Nigerian Independent System Operator NISO Management Retreat in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. Chief Adelabu said the creation of the Nigerian Independent System Operator, NISO, alongside new substations, grid extensions, and the Presidential Metering Initiative, were part of strategic measures to ensure steady and sustainable power supply. The minister explained that the government was now prioritizing public-private partnerships to close gaps in the sector, noting that the grid had recorded no major disturbance since NISO commenced operations. The managing director of NISO, Mr. Abdul Mohammed, said the organization was working to restore confidence in the grid, attract private sector investment, and bring back industries that had disconnected due to past instability. The Chief of Staff, Air Marshal Sunday Aneke, has said terrorists and criminal gangs will find no hiding place in Nigeria as the Air Force intensifies nationwide operations. Air Marshal Aneke stated this during an operational visit to Katsina State, directing personnel to step up precision strikes in line with President Bola Tinubu's mandate to eliminate all threats. He said government's investment in new aircraft, weapons, and training places a responsibility on the force to deliver stronger results. The Air Chief urged troops to honor fallen colleagues by remaining resolute, noting that the nation depends on them to reclaim areas threatened by insurgents and bandits. He commended officers for their courage despite difficult terrain, assuring them that welfare and training will continue to improve to meet operational demands. The Air Chief reaffirmed that the Air Force remained committed to intelligence-led decisive operations aimed at securing every part of the country. The Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria, PFN, has strongly condemned comments made by Islamic cleric Ahmad Gumi, who alleged that Christians in the Middle Belt were burying empty coffins to create a false narrative of genocide. In a statement signed by its National Publicity Secretary, Dr. Silvanus Ukafia, the PFN described Mr. Gumi's claim as baseless, inflammatory, and easily disprovable. Dr. Gumi listed cultures across Nigeria to include Christian, Muslim, and traditional, noting that there was no known practice of burying empty coffins. He explained that funerals in Nigeria were communal and tied to real identities, families, and histories, making the idea of stage burials both illogical and deeply insulting. Dr. Okafia noted that the country has recorded thousands of genuine victims of terrorism and banditry, adding that there was no reason to fabricate casualties. He said the tragedies were well documented by humanitarian agencies, international observers, satellite imagery, and the media. The PFN spokesperson further described Gumi's allegation as propaganda that trivialized real loss, fuels division, and distracts from ongoing violence. He called on public figures to uphold truth, compassion, and responsibility in their statements, especially on issues relating to human lives and national security. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump recently alleged that Christians were being killed in large numbers in the country by jihadists, threatening U.S. action if the Nigerian government failed to act. He also designated Nigeria as a country of particular concern and warned of possible aid withdrawal. In response, President Bola Tinubu has repeatedly dismissed the claims of Christian genocide. Senior officials insisted that while terrorism remained a major challenge in the country, noting that Muslim communities have suffered even more casualties. The Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, retired Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa, has issued a renewed warning to drug barons and trafficking cartels across the country, declaring that his second tenure will witness an even more intense assault on illicit drug networks. General Marwa, who was reappointed for another 5-year term by President Bola Tinubu yesterday, delivered a warning while addressing jubilant management staff and operatives at the NDLEA National Headquarters in Abuja. He assured personnel and Nigerians that the NDLEA would sustain and expand its nationwide campaign against drug trafficking, stressing that criminal cartels should brace up for an even tougher era under his renewed leadership. The Nigerian Port Authority says the ongoing revitalization of the Warri and Cocoa ports in the state marked a major step in national development that decentralized economic opportunity and strengthened regional balance. In a policy document, the NPA described the project as a profound act of nation building, noting that the renewed Delta ports have scripted a new chapter where the authority reiterated that equity and sustainable economic growth. According to the NPA, the logic behind the shift was obvious. Years of congestion at the Lagos ports have inflated logistics costs and weakened Nigerians' competitiveness, while the Delta ports were naturally positioned to serve the South-South, Southeast, and North-Central strategy dubbed the Atlantic Gambit as a master stroke. He said transforming the state's waterways into economic corridors would help to decongest Lagos. For the story and more after the short break.
If tanker wey carry fuel fall or pipe wey carry fuel for underground burst, wetin you go do? You go begin bath fuel put for your bucket, or you go run comot far for where the fire go soon come. Na only small time you get to take this wise decision. Waka comot, no, that one no dey enough. Shift, no, that one no dey enough. Stay there dey gist and take pictures with your phone. That na madness. Run, yes, run comot. Yes, your life depend on wetin you do. The fire go come at once and you no go fit control am. Why? Petrol dey catch fire easily. Why? Na just small spark go start big fire. So no stay there dey think. Run comot quick to save your life. No throway your life away because of say you wan pack petrol. Take this advice. This informate na from Public Enlightenment Office, Delta Broadcasting Service, Asaba.
Welcome back. The global scene is next as we join our World News Desk.
The Democratic Republic of Congo and the M23 rebel group have signed a framework agreement aimed at ending fighting in eastern Congo, where thousands have been killed and hundreds of thousands displaced this year. The agreement was signed today in Doha, the Qatari capital, by representatives of both parties. It was the latest in a series of documents endorsed in recent months, backed by the United States and Qatar as part of broader efforts to resolve the decade-long conflict that has repeatedly threatened to escalate into a regional war. US and Qatari officials described the framework as an important step towards peace, but noted that several more stages lie ahead. The US envoy to the Great Lakes region, Masad Bulu, said the framework contained 8 protocols and that negotiations were still required to determine how 6 of them will be implemented. He also acknowledged that progress on the first 2 protocols covering prisoner exchange and ceasefire monitoring has been slow despite earlier agreements. Ethiopia has confirmed an outbreak of the deadly Marburg virus in the southern part of the country. The Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention announced a confirmation today. Marburg has confirmed as one of the world's most lethal pathogens, which was similar to Ebola, causing severe bleeding, fever, vomiting, and diarrhea. The virus has an incubation period of about 21 days and spreads through contact with bodily fluids. Its fatality rate ranged between 25 and 80%. The Director General of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, an Ethiopian, yesterday said that about 9 cases had been detected. This followed 2 days after the Africa Center for Disease Control was alerted to a suspected hemorrhagic fever outbreak in the region.
Welcome back home. Now let's join our business news desk for stories on business and the economy.
The Naira yesterday returned to depreciation against the United States dollar at the official foreign exchange market, ending the week on a negative note. Data from the Central Bank of Nigeria showed that the Naira fell to 1,442.43 kobo per dollar, compared to 1,441.44 kobo traded the previous day. This indicated a day-to-day weakening of 99 kobo. Meanwhile, at the black market, the Naira traded flat at 1,465 Naira per dollar, the same rate recorded on Thursday. For the week under review, the Naira depreciated on 4 occasions, losing a total of 5 Naira 56 kobo at the official market, according to Central Bank of Nigeria figures. The decline comes despite a sustained rise in Nigeria's external reserves, which climbed to $43.54 billion as of Thursday, up from $43.35 billion last week.
The nationwide strike by resident doctors has entered its 15th day, with the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors, NARD, insisting that the federal government must urgently conclude the long-pending collective bargaining agreement. In a statement released on X, the union said doctors have waited too long for a fair and clearly defined agreement that guarantees proper pay and improved working conditions. NARD also called for an immediate review of the Consolidated Medical Salary Structure, CONMES, salary structure, which it described as outdated. The ongoing strike had now affected 91 federal hospitals, including teaching hospitals and specialist centers, with services severely disrupted across the country. NARD's 19-point demands include payment of outstanding CONMES arrears, release of the 2025 Medical Residency Training Fund, prompt specialist allowances, recognition of postgraduate qualifications, and better working conditions to sustain the nation's healthcare system. President Bola Tinubu has directed the Ministry of Health to move quickly to resolve the disputes, but the doctor said delays in concluding the cost-benefit analysis (CBA) and salary review continues to dampen morale amid rising living costs. Meanwhile, the Joint Health Sector Unions, JOHESU, today began an indefinite nationwide strike over the federal government's failure to implement the adjusted consolidated health salary structure. A statement by its national chairman, Comrade Kabiru Manjibru, the union said the action follows years of unaddressed welfare concerns and salary disparities affecting health workers. Johesu recalled that despite previous agreements and presidential assurances, the report on the adjusted consolidated health salary structure (CONHES) submitted since 2022 has not been implemented. The union noted that both doctors and other health professionals now being on strike would severely disrupt services in major hospitals nationwide. Members have been directed to comply fully with the strike, with the union warning government against any form of victimization. Johesu said the action would continue until its key demand on the adjusted salary structure is met. The Nigerian Railway Corporation (NRC) has apologized for yesterday's delay on the Abuja-Kaduna train after a safety-related engine issue forced the train to return to Rigasa shortly after departure. The managing director, Dr. Kayode Okpeifa, said reports that passengers were stranded were inaccurate. He explained that although the train could have continued, security concerns on the corridor made it safer to turn back for checks. The service resumed an hour later and arrived in Idu about 80 minutes behind schedule. Dr. Okpeifa apologized for the inconvenience and reaffirmed the NRC's commitment to strict safety procedures and reliable service delivery. The annual press week of the Nigerian Union of Journalists (NUJ) Delta State Council kicks off tomorrow, November 16, with a special Thanksgiving service at the St. Patrick's Catholic Church, West End, Asaba, from 8:30 a.m. The solemn gathering sets the tone for a week of reflection, professional engagement, and celebration as journalists across the state converge to mark the annual event. The Press Week activities will continue on Monday, November 17, with strategic visits to media houses across Asaba. On Tuesday, November 18, there will be a medical check and sensitization work at the Press Center on Mariam Babangida Road at 7 a.m., followed by a social outreach to an orphanage at 12 p.m., demonstrating the union's commitment not only to journalism but also to community service and humanitarian support. On Wednesday, November 19, attention will shift to sportsmanship and relaxation as the NUJ engages the Nigerian Medical Association (NMA) in a novelty football match. The friendly encounter, scheduled for 4 p.m. at the NTA Asaba football field, is expected to foster camaraderie and strengthen interprofessional relationships in a fun and healthy way. The grand opening ceremony, lecture, and award with the theme Tax Regimes and Exchange Rate Unification, Economic Implications, and the Media's Strategic Role will hold on Thursday, November 20, at the Orchid Hotel on DBS Road, Asaba, from 11 a.m., with Senator Joel Thomas as keynote speaker and the State Governor, the Right Honorable Sheriff Oborewoli, as special guest of honor. A statement signed by Comrade Pere Botu and Comrade Bath Oza, Chairman and Secretary of the Planning Committee, says the event will have the NUJ National President, Comrade Ahassan Yaya, as chief hosts, with the State NUJ Chairman, Comrade Churchill Oyowe, as hosts. The statement has enjoined journalists in the state to attend all activities. The police in Asaba has declared one Mr. Avoke Urienwenre as of MBTC Onya missing. He is dark in complexion, speaks Urhobo and English language fluently. Aged 41, he left home on October 6 for an unknown destination and has since not been seen. Also, a 25-year-old Obas Evewira, who hails from Ozoro, left home on October 10 to her boyfriend's house at Otokutu and has since not returned. Divine June of number 15, Akpodiete Street, Ogeli, went missing on October 14. The 21-year-old speaks Ijaw and English languages fluently. Also missing is Ifechukwude Charles, who hails from Agbo of number 20 GBC Road, Jemok, Asaba. Miss Ifechukwude left home on October 23 to Onitsha Market to sell. She speaks Ika and English languages fluently. Amaka Oyibo, who hails from Anambra State of Amacha Quarters, Ugbolu, Asaba, is still missing. Aged 16, left home on October 10 to Okpanam, where she usually spent her weekend. She speaks Igbo and English language fluently. Valerie Meshegarun of Niger Cat Link Road, Ekpa, Uvie local government area, is also declared missing. Aged 15, left home on September 4, she speaks English language fluently. A statement by the police public relations officer SP Bright Edafe says persons who know the whereabouts of the missing persons should contact their families or report to the police headquarters at Asaba. Governor Sheriff Oborewori, former governors Chief James Ibori, and Senator Ifeanyi Okowa, and other dignitaries attended the funeral mass of late Ezine Rose Imade Obwe, mother of Mr. Joe Chuma Obwe, at the St. John's Catholic Church, Agbo, in Ika South Local Government area. She died at the age of 95, leaving behind a legacy of service to both church and the society. In his homily, Reverend Father Joseph Ogbu emphasized that life after death is a transition to eternal glory for faithful Christians. He commiserated with the Obwe family, urging them to sustain the good legacies of their mother, and prayed for her soul to rest in peace. The cleric also highlighted that pleasing God comes through love for others and living a life of dignity. Speaking after the Mass, Mr. Joe Obwe described his mother as a woman who loved God and humanity, pledging to continue her legacy through service and love. Party officials, community leaders, and well-wishers described late Ezine Obwe as a mother to all, who raised her children to be role models and prayed for strength and consolidation for the family during their period of mourning. Now let's join our sport news desk for happenings in the world of sports.
Nigeria's quest for a place at the 2026 FIFA World Cup may hinge heavily on the Super Eagles FIFA ranking as they approach the intercontinental playoffs. Under FIFA's revamped format, 6 countries will battle in Mexico for the remaining World Cup slots. The structure gives a major advantage to the 2 highest-ranked teams, who will bypass the semi-finals and move straight into the final qualifying round. This means the 4 lowest-ranked nations will first play in the semi-finals, with the winners advancing to face the top 2 teams. Victory in those final matches will secure a ticket to the World Cup. For Nigeria, the implications are clear. If the Super Eagles enter the playoffs as one of the top 2 ranked teams, they will need to play and win just 1 match in Mexico to qualify. However, if their ranking drops outside the top 2, the road becomes tougher. Nigeria would then be required to win 2 matches in Mexico, a semi-final and a final to book their place. The Confederation of African Football, CAF, has confirmed that Wilfred Ndidi is eligible to feature for the Super Eagles in the 2026 FIFA World Cup playoffs final with Democratic Republic of Congo. The information was shared on the Super Eagles official X account. CAF said that cautions accumulated during the World Cup qualifiers does not carry over into the playoffs, but only confirms suspension. Ndidi was cautioned in the 6th minute of Super Eagles' 4-1 victory over the Panthers of Gabon on Thursday. It was the midfielder's second booking in the qualifiers.
To end the news, here's our thought for the day. Never limit yourself because of others' limited imagination. Now for a rundown of the major stories in our bulletin this evening. The House of Representatives Committee on University Education has called for an overhaul of infrastructure at the Federal University of Petroleum Resources, EFRUN, saying the country cannot afford to neglect a specialized institution central to manpower development in the oil and gas sector. Chairman of the committee, Honorable Abubakar Fulata, made the appeal during an inspection of the federal universities in the South-South. The State Ministry of Justice has reaffirmed its commitment to digital justice reforms as part of efforts to ensure faster and more efficient justice delivery in the state. The Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Mr. Ekemejero Okovoriole, SAN, stated this in Asaba during a one-day capacity building workshop on the digitalization of the ministry, organized for law officers across the state. The Ethiopia Federal Constituency Political Forum has declared its support for President Bola Tinubu and Governor Sharif Oborevwori. The declaration came at the forum's enlarged stakeholders meeting held at the country home of APC leader Chief Bernard Edewo in Eku, Ethiopia East local government area. And abroad, Democratic Republic of Congo M23 rebel group signs agreement for peace deal. You can also follow our news online on Facebook and YouTube at Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba, or visit our website at www.dbsasaba.com. That ends our news this tonight. So many thanks for watching. I am Mora Isukba. On behalf of the production crew, we are wishing you a wonderful night rest. Good night.